He comes to shear, how much money he's going to earn, how much money he's got to have to cough up before he even starts earning that money, and a few other little details. These shoes, what you happen to see, we just put on them indigo. It's just what we call shearer moccasins, all shearers wear. Why do you wear it? Because your foot's dead flat on the board. It'll give you a little bit more grip if the sheep plays up and carries on stupid. Because a lot of people think, might come from the city and they think they've seen it on TV, they'll just lay there all day for you. No, they don't. But anyway, these pants I happen to be wearing is just what the shearers call dungarees. These happen to have 2 layers on them. The reason they've got 2 layers, just to stop all the grease and lanolin what's going to come off them sheep in an 8-hour shift. And apparently stop a few birds, but they lie about that one. All depends where you shear it. We happen to get $5 per head to shear a sheep, sometimes a bit more around here. The average shearer, just like myself, say shear 150, 160 a day, and the faster bloke will be shearing say 200, 250 a day. A fast bloke will be well over $1,000 a day, and the average bloke like me between $750 and $800 a day. You can have that 7 days a week. We've hardly got a union anymore, so it's open slather for the shearers. Away you go. Just out of that $5 though, my old mate from Canberra, he'll get a swipe at it before I do, and that'll be the tax man I'm talking about. He'll just take $1.30, $1.35 out of that slower bloke. And the holiday pay happens to be involved in that too, so it's up to myself. I happen to be married, so I'll take out say 15 cents per head. That'll leave me roughly about $3.50 now. That's what I'm going to get all day to shear sheep. Don't matter where I go in Australia, I walk into any shearing shed to go to work, and all the farmers got to supply me, especially this day and age, is this old overhead gear we got here to shed the sheep, somewhere to go to the toilet, wash your hands and a little bit of drinking water. Virtually nothing else. But of course, if I'm camped on his property, he's got to supply you with what we call shearers' huts. Either shearers' huts or an old homestead or something similar to that. So you might be there for a week or 2 weeks or however how long. But anyway, the way it goes, 99% of the time you will be working for a contractor. He'll have a cook on board. When I left the shearing job, I didn't have much choice in it. In 2017, it was between $180 and $200 a week. That was just taken straight out of your money. That was with your tucker. Virtually just all you was eating for the week. It didn't matter if you wasn't working all week, that still comes straight out. So you're not going to get it half price. But anyway, 5 square meals a day, you can't afford to whinge about that. We roughly get about 3.5 months of the year here, flat out. We happen to fly the Kiwis in today, we do, and we fly them home. We got no choice in the matter, because it's just no young Aussie wants to do this job anymore. It's a bit of a dying art. What I've seen over the last 5 to 6 years, more young ladies are taking this job up, and what are these young blokes? Bit of a disgusting thought to the young blokes making the women do this job. But anyway, don't worry, they're good at what they do. It's as simple as that. That sling I used to use roughly takes around about 25% off your back. These are ideal, but you've got to get used to them. They can work with you, they can work against you. A lot of young blokes today won't wear them because they think it's a girl thing. But you might see them young fellas down the track 8 years' time and they've got a little mini skirt on. They've got one of these. But anyway, way life goes. Learn how to shear that sheep in that little circle all day. And as you can see, you're bobbing up and down there just doing your thing. But you might drag out the next one, roughly set him up around about there, put his rear end down and just start to take the belly off. And it wants to entertain the crowd too and chuck its little tantrum and show people what sheep are all about. So it moves forward by 3/4 of a foot. By rights, I should drag him back, but I haven't got time. That young lady's already got half a sheep around me, so I'm chasing her. So what happens then when I drop him on the long blow, because I'm just out of position, his head could be over here. By rights, it should be over here. So what happens then, I'm trying to reach him, that's pulling me back and I'm trying to pull forward. So most shearers today will either flick it off, or get that pretty young rouse about to pull you out of gear and just drag your sheep back into your comfort zone where you think that's really where it should be. One last thing before we attempt to shear the sheep today for you. A little bit of my working gear, like I say, it's all got to come out of the $3.52. This handpiece will last between 8 and 10 months in a good season around here. It's going to be a bit less as you go further north. Of course, I have had them from brand new, chucked them away in 2 months. It's just when we get in a drought, all the fine sand what we get in our sheep will be on the skin of the sheep, and might be even that thick. A lot of that's going to get up inside my barrel. This has got three sets of barons in it. They won't last all that long. You can replace them once, and after that, well, all your other working parts will be nearly chewed out anyway. So I'll just go and buy a new one this afternoon. This handpiece alone today is only $1,200. So I'm more or less giving them to the shearers. So go on, get out there and do a job. Of course, when I buy that handpiece, just these things on top, just what we call cutters. Most shearers will buy 150 to wear that handpiece out, because you always got to buy new cutters when you buy a new handpiece. It doesn't matter what, it's just a thing in there, what we call the post. The cutters have got to come down with it. So I grab 100 today, and that'll only set me back $900. 20 of them shearing combs would have roughly lasted me 2.5 months in a good season around here. A lot less than a drought. So I grabbed 20 more of them this Harvey too, and thank you, that'll be another $1,000. That young learner's just spent a little bit of money, nothing to what he's got to spend yet. If he's not putting money away every week or fortnight, or the young lady, or buying the tools, I highly recommend to buy the tools instead of putting money away. At the end of every 8 to 10 months, might even be a bit less for a learner. He's going to at least have to cough up in $5,000 to $5,500 to set himself up again and get himself going. And virtually, he's got no other choice, because everything, especially with a learner, they do a lot of things wrong, and they're going through the gear a lot quicker, and that bloke has been shearing for say 3 years or 2 years or something like that. But it's just the way, a fact of life, and that's the way it's going today. But it doesn't matter what sort of shed you go into around here at the moment, it's all going to be all young ladies, mainly everywhere today is young ladies that shed stuff, even as shearers. And good on them, I reckon. Why have we got all young ladies? Quite simple, they just do a better job. Simple as that. And if I had a young Rousey come up to me, a male Rousey or a female Rousey, which one would I pick? Straight to the female. It's no problems at all. Wouldn't matter how good he was. I know he'd be only good for so long before he found out where the shortcuts was and be lazy. But anyway, I've probably talked about myself. No other questions then? Okay. The sheep I'm about to sheep for you, they're only just a young sheep. You've probably seen a few of them run out there. We mainly get our sheep off hobby farms. Whatever comes through the back gate, I'll shear anyway, so it doesn't matter if they're that big or that big. It's still the same price in Australia to shear the same animal today. Some places are a bit cheaper, the shearers are doing them for $4.50 and things like that. But we mainly do our shearing now every 8 and 6 months around here, not so much 12 months. No, but
are they wide blade or are they standard blade shears? Or?
These ones here,
yeah.
Just a normal size, not a narrow cone. This is only about a 96 mil. You can get them up to 100 and pull the outside teeth, make them to 102 mil. But of course, if you get in really heavy cutting wool sheep, you want arms like that to push that handpiece all day. Anyway, we might grab one of those little things for you and see how we go. Did you want to pick a shape out for me, sweetheart? Don't watch them come flying out the door with their mouth open trying to bite you. Now people ask me, do the sheep bite? Oh, they're going to hope not anyway. I'm sure it'll be bitten to death. Ain't losing their barking. So I usually just let the sheep go. I open the door and they'll put the sheep back in for me. The crowd seem to like it, okay. That's very As you're taking a little bit of notice, going to start feeding it in slow motion the way it should be. A few things I would have had a lot different if I was trying to make a living out of it. Just say I wanted to shear 40 of them in 2 hours. That's only one every 3 minutes. It's alright when you're a bit younger and a lot fitter than what I am. But them days are gone. But anyway, my wife happened to tell me this morning she's going to go to Wagga Monday. Fetch a shearer to his knees when she said she's going shopping straight away. So for Monday, I might just pop up to 60 every 2 hours. That'll give me at the end of the day an extra $400. That'll cover the grocery bill, a bit of fuel money. Just won't buy that new dress she was in me ear about bad luck. Still got lay-bys, haven't they, Doc? Need lay-by. Anyway, I need a new handpiece. That's one every 2 minutes I've got to do on Monday. A little bit quicker, and that's quite achievable too.
What sort of sheep are they?
Sorry?
What breed?
That was sort of a first cross looking thing it was. Between a merino and a crossbred. Just put a crossbred over a merino, get a first cross lamb.
Yep.
Something similar to that it is. Not the best of
You
first
did
cross.
good, I never saw any cuts.
Sorry?
You did good, I never saw any cuts.
Joe, I wouldn't want to cut it going that slow. Would have been a lot quicker if I was working in the shed. But saying that, like the first 3 or 4, you always just cruise along to loosen yourself up. Don't try to go flat out straight away. But it's just the way it goes. Yep, I'll go for it. Anyway. Normally, I always got a bull classer when we're doing merinos. Don't have to have them when you're doing crossbreds. Don't matter what you send me take off that sheep today, everything's going to get sold. The only thing that wouldn't get sold on that sheep today, if it had a little bit of black wool, Maggoty wool, Dermo, wool rot. Not being prejudiced here today, the black wool is definitely going to come out. But they get it overseas there and they find a little bit like that in one of your bales, well, you're fairly going to get ripped for it, to tell you the honest truth. But when black gets over there, they go to dye our wool and everything to make our clothing and everything like that. Black just doesn't dye. If I got in amongst the machine, like that red jumper you got on there today, don't you'd have little black fibres running through it. Not real good. But anyway, we'll get along with this. What I'm taking off today, just a different class of wool. So we just run along the edges, of course. I can see it quite obvious. See along the edges, looks a bit like a river frontage, a bit rough. Just in there. 90% of our wool will go to China, 10% will go to Italy. Italy are only taking all the best wool. From say 11 microns up to say 15 microns or something similar to that. But when our prime ministers and that want their suits, well, we've got to do something with our money on week, don't we? We can't make a decent road. At the end of the day, we end up with this. Wouldn't be 3 kilos and it's pretty light. I've got some sheep at my own, a little place out the road. I've got 400 sheep actually, but when I shear my sheep at 8 months, over the whole lot of them, I average roughly around about $42 per fleece. And I went a bit over 5 kilos. It all depends on the year. They'll be a bit lighter this year, being so dry. But anyway, roughly about 5.5 kilos they cut. Roughly about $42 per fleece over the 400. I'll get rid of all that. That's see you later, that's gone. Just comes down to what I've taken off it today. It's just what we call pieces. A different grade of wool again. That will, at the end of the shed, all that will get pressed up. 3 AM pieces written on the bag, and away we go with it. That's maybe $3.70 a kilo or something like that. The belly I took off that sheep will be the next best part. That'll just go into that bag, exactly the same progress. 3 AM bellies, we'll press all that up. That'll be all gone too. What that whinge and shearer left behind there today, and underneath the table, it's just what we call locks, a different grade of wool again. All that'll be swept up, just put in behind the gentleman there in the way we go with it then. We'll cash all that out too. Last of all, what we're going to try to make a little bit of money, try to get a bit of money extra for the shearers to buy them a beer for working. It's just a little bit of urine stain and crap around the rear end of that sheep. Back in the 60s, right up to about 84, they used to make carpets and all the other odds and ends and everything out of this they did. Of course, one of the carpets do stick in me mind was that shag pole carpet. The older people can remember that. Back in the 70s, my mum put it in the house in 75. You'd be rolling around on it, fighting with your brothers and sisters, because I had plenty of them to fight with. Of course, when I come a shearer, I realised what I was rolling around in. Urine and crap, all them years. But anyway, not the end of the world. Today, with our insulation and carpets and everything like that, will be just made out of a different sort of a wool. It's just what we call crossbred. The wool is hardly worth anything. Like I said earlier, if I show you a crossbred there today, maybe $3 for the fleece. You'll get for the whole fleece, belly, the whole lot. The wool, like I say, hardly worth anything. For instance, we put 195 kilos in our press over there. Roughly around about 38 of my fleeces when I shear them, of merino wool, will make that weight. Roughly about $1,620 a bale I got for it, for 195 kilos. For the 100 crossbreds I had, was probably around about 65 fleeces, 60 to 65 fleeces will go in there to make that weight. The price I got, $270. That's just the difference, straight away, from crossbred wool to merino wool. But they have got one thing in their favour, and they'll produce it really well. And that's in the fat lamb department. You get a good crossbred lamb, roughly about a bit over 5 months. he should be in the sale yards by rights if you know how to finish him off and that, make him look pretty for the sale yards. Anything from 27 to say 34 kilos should be fetching between 150 to say $240. That's the only place you can make money out of that animal there today. Otherwise, it's just not worth owning at the end of the day. So virtually, the crossbred, it's the only place we can make money at, between that. And of course, if some sales are a lot better than others, and some are not.